What is good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Fundamism Podcast. I'm your host, Paul J. Long, master of shenanigans and the fun guy. Yep, that is a mushroom joke. It's early. I apologize. Listen, we got a really fun-filled show today because when I think of my childhood, when I think of things that lift me up, when I think of memories with friends, oftentimes there's a common thread, and that common thread is competition, games. And so our guest today is really helping bring a gaming mentality, a fun mentality into the workplace. But before I introduce him to you, I'd like to shout out our sponsor, Charlie Hustle. Charlie Hustle is obviously Kansas City based. If you know nothing of Charlie Hustle, even if you're from a small town in the Midwest, or heck, maybe even Newark, New Jersey, right? Is that where you're from?
That's it.
Yes. There is something for you. Go to charliehustle.com to learn more, not just about the amazing threads that they got, but the awesome stuff that they're doing for people in need. So without further ado, we have the founder and CEO of 1Huddle, Sam Caucci. What's good, my Brit?
It's good, man. Thanks for having me.
Listen, I am super excited to have you. This has been a long time coming. We met through a mutual friend by the name of Joe Greco, and we got on a call, and I'm just enamored by what you're doing, mainly because I have a lot of experience in the corporate world and not necessarily liking every minute of it. So I want to talk to you at length about that. But before we do, the people want to know, Sam, what do you do for fun?
You know, working as a entrepreneur and having a startup and being at work crazy hours all day long, all the way around the horn for fun. Like I run around the block, hang out, play soccer, do whatever I can with my 3-year-old daughter, Nico. So that's my fun time every day.
Well, I do have the luxury of following you on the IG, and Nico is absolutely adorable. And one thing I also know about you that you do for fun, and I guess I don't know if you do it for fun or not, but I admire that you do it regardless. And I think you're even introducing her at a very young age, is you are very invested in self-development and reading. You're constantly reading. How many books would you say you read a month?
A month, probably about, I'd say no less than 8 to 10 books a month.
Goodness gracious.
Easy.
That's something for me to aspire to.
Easy. I devour. One of the best things I ever did was I downloaded an app probably a dozen years ago that was a speed reading app. And I've just, I try to, I would say some people read books. I try to just engulf myself in them and as much information I can, including your book, Fun, in the background that I've read a few times.
Well, thank you, man. I greatly appreciate that. I remember seeing a post of yours with that in the stack. And I think that obviously that is one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to you, because you're a gentleman that lives fun and you help create fun for others. And that's what the Fundamism Podcast and the Fundamism movement is all about. How do we ourselves live a life of fun, joy, and fulfillment, while also inviting others to find what that looks like for them? Not news to you, Sam, that a lot of folks don't necessarily enjoy going to work these days. Why? What is that created by?
I'd probably say it's a few things. I think it's bad leadership, bad coaching. I think that when I think a lot of the way we've been brought up, when you go to work, if you don't have the right mentors and the right coaches around you, it's looked like something that you have to do, not something you get to do. I would probably also say that it's leadership's failure to connect you to why you're there in the first place. And for us, we're a game platform, so all we do all day long is talk about play is powerful to connect people. Play is a powerful ingredient, but man, Paul, I am blown away at how many people I talk to, whether it's HR directors, C-level executives, they lose touch of such like a simple concept as like play is a good thing. And I've talked to too many CEOs that think that when you say fun around work, it's a bad thing. And I know I'm in your wheelhouse now, but we're fighting on the front lines for this with you because it's out of whack.
Listen, that's exactly why I connect so much with you and what you're trying to accomplish in the workforce and the work environment. because I, for 10 plus years, worked in corporate America, made my way all the way up to director of call center operations. And the one thing that I quickly identified is that at times I felt like a fish out of water. I felt like my style, my energy, my enthusiasm, my zest was not always invited with open arms. And as a result, I think sometimes that did something to my confidence, right? It kind of shook me a little bit and made me wonder, am I doing the right things to thrive in a corporate setting? And I don't know that I could answer that successfully. But one thing I know about you is your help closing that gap, because a lot of senior leadership is now connecting or are now connecting with individuals that really, they run the gamut in terms of demographics, age, race, background, whatever it may be, which means that we kind of have to rethink how we lead our people. How is 1Huddle doing that?
Yeah, so I think we believe in a few things at 1Huddle. We believe, number one, that everybody should have a right to compete, and nobody likes an unfair game. But unfortunately, in the workforce today, like, the deck is stacked against a heck of a lot of people. We live in a world where if you went to a certain college and you got that sales job that moved you up into the corner office, for some reason you get access to every training, every seminar, every workshop, every thought leader, every Simon Sinek, blah, 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 like, you get everything. But the frontline worker at the front door gets access to a fraction of it. And we live in a world of abundance and technology. So, it's crazy to us at 1Huddle that you wouldn't give everybody the same equal access to the same stuff, considering the fact that we got this thing, I got a smartphone in our hands. There's no reason we can't share information and mentorship. So I think, number one, for us, it's all about access. We don't think it makes sense. We think it's stupid. We think it's bad for business. The second thing is we believe competition is healthy. Like, there's nothing wrong with coming to work every day and, asking people to do the hard stuff and challenging people. And we think the best comes out of people when there's a little friendly competition, there's a little bit at stake. Right. People lean into that the right way.
Sure.
So I think we fight every day to make sure that not only people have access, but that we lean into the power of play, because we get the most out of people when they look at things, through the lens of play and fun.
Yeah. And I think that to take that one step further too, I mean, there's something to be said for really still remembering and living life like a child, right? Because I think that I saw something amazing that, like, as children, we laughed in excess of 100 times a day, but as adults, the average is less than 10, which is crazy to me. And so that's obviously something that you were helping bring to the table. Before we get into how that is and what specifically 1Huddle does to drive competition and create a more fun work environment for folks and make one feel as though they are part of a larger culture and specifically add value. In my experience in corporate America, not just living it, but consulting and working after the fact, we consistently lose great people. And when I think about why we consistently lose great people, in my mind, I feel like regularly we misdiagnose skill versus will, right? Like, it's easy for us as a leadership team to say, well, Sam just isn't cutting the mustard. He knows what to do, but he's just not doing it, right? And I consistently come back to the thought of, but does he know what to do? Why is it that our leaders consistently struggle in developing or transferring skill?
Yeah, it's a great question, Paul. I think there's a lot to answer in that question. I think that managers in the workforce, to defend them for a second, I think that they're put in that position without the right coaching and development around them to become great coaches.
Yes.
It's not just because I'm the best seller doesn't mean I'm the best sales manager. So I think, number one, we put a lot of people into that management role without the mentorship and coaching that they need. And we look at a lot of job training programs. And again, a lot of it has to do with the tactics of being a seller, not of being a sales manager, as an example. And that goes around the horn. So I think it's a weakness in understanding that we need to build great coaches. I also think that, so many companies rely on a human resource job function that they don't get enough, the position doesn't get enough respect. And what I mean by that is I wouldn't go to a doctor who didn't have a medical degree on the wall. I don't necessarily trust lawyers, but I wouldn't probably seek legal advice from somebody that didn't have a law degree. There's a heck of a lot of people out there responsible for learning and development and HR and workforce and talent that do not have formal degrees in the way the brain works, that do not understand how learning sticks, that do not have cognitive behavioral understanding in any way on how you teach somebody to get upskilled. So I think that that's another problem, is that training and employee engagement, which is the buzzword today, it's looked at as a nice to have, not a need to have. And I've yet to have somebody actually explain to me what the hell that means.
Well, I'm so glad that you hit on an important point, and hopefully no one took offense to the fact that I wasn't saying that no manager or no senior leader out there understands how to transfer skill. I believe that we as a whole in society struggle with transferring skill. And mainly, we make a number of different excuses, right? We don't have enough time. We take for granted that they were promoted based on that skill. But what you just called out was, just because you're promoted based on your ability to do one thing, i.e. what you said, sell, doesn't necessarily mean that you have the skill to be able to transfer how to sell. And that's where that coaching technique and that coaching prowess and coaching development really takes a critical element in being able to advance the skill set of those with whom we work. So enter 1Huddle and Sam Caucci. Now, you are the founder and CEO of 1Huddle. And I wore a special shirt for you. I don't know if you could see it, Sam. This is my, you see what this is? This is Saved by the Bell. So that's Zach Morris.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see it.
That's Zach Morris. There's Screech, of course. But whenever I think of growing up, I think of Bayside High. I think of NBA Jam.
Rejected.
And all the games that gave me so many amazing memories and friendships, to be honest. And let's be honest, there's some rifts amongst friends as well in this friendly competition. But I came up on games. And so everything that I do, whether it's a neighborhood party, hanging out with the kids at home, which you could relate to, or going into a workplace setting, I'm driven by competition. So where did this idea of bringing a competitive nature or games into the work setting come from for you?
Yeah, I mean, I used to skip out during lunch period in high school, and we used to go into, I played high school football, and one of our guys somehow figured out how to rig his car to have a PlayStation 2 in it with one of these TVs that's, as small as an iPhone now. And we'd play NCAA, and that was our lunch every day. We try to eat as fast as we can so we can go and do that. So, I grew up a gamer playing games. I also think it's, everybody is a gamer.
Yes.
I'll get people who tell me, like, I'm not so much a gamer. I'm like, do you do puzzles? Yeah. Okay. You're a gamer. Do you crossword puzzles? I'm a gamer. Like, do you play pickup basketball? Okay, you're a gamer. Like, do you golf? You're a gamer. Like, okay, you don't have to be the kid in Fortnite with like the headphones on and the hoodie up in 3 a.m. playing games to be a gamer. Everybody, like, you're a gamer. And I tell companies, like, games have been around for thousands of years. E-learning, it's been around since 1994. Let's think about, what has stuck more with people. So, for us, we believe in the power of games as a way to, there's no other vehicle where as you play it, I get connected with my competition.
Yes.
I get competitive in a way that brings us together. There's like no other vehicle where as you fail, you're okay with it. Like, I've thrown a lot of controllers in my life, don't get me wrong, but as I fail, I come back for more, I just don't think that happens in most job training when you're sitting in a seat trying to survive 8 hours, just not falling asleep. Yes. So we feel like the power of a game creates an opportunity to communicate the right information to people that need it, workers, in a manner that like has them like coming back for more a little bit. And in the process, hopefully, bringing up their engagement, their excitement about where they are every day.
For sure. And I think that one of the things that you didn't or haven't in our conversation thus far given yourself enough credit for is, in addition to driving that connection, which, newsflash, right now in today's society and the heavily dependent culture on virtual environments and settings, everybody's longing for connection and wants to be a part of something. And so this gaming platform, or allowing people to connect in a different way, is going to improve or increase that employee engagement. And a lot of companies are struggling with that right now. But a magical byproduct of all of that, Sam, is there's all these different learners out there, right? And what you're creating is an ability to truly immerse yourself in content. And the benefit, of course, in that is hopefully the retention of said content goes up. Am I way off base, or do you have some statistical references to secure that thought?
Yeah, so there's a lot of myths around how learning works that I uncovered, and it's what made me start 1Huddle. When I started to really try to understand how the heck do I get my salesperson on my team up to speed in product knowledge quickly, what is the best way to do that? Is it by me building a learning video? Is it me building a PowerPoint deck and locking everybody in a room and talking to them? Like, why is it that once I do a training, everybody's great, and then 48 hours later they go back to the same crap? Why is that? So I went to the bookstore and I started reading books on cognitive behavior and how learning works and how does memory work. And I came across something that said, struggle is the missing ingredient to most effective learning. And when the brain is forced to figure out the puzzle, go down, figure itself out of the maze, journey through, go through the mission, when it's forced to struggle, the outcome is the information you learned along the way, it sticks a little bit more. And I said, holy crap, the problem is all I got to do is survive that, XYZ training I get every quarter and just click through it. That's all I have to do. And that's why it doesn't stick. So, what we learned is that struggle, at 1Huddle, our big mantra on the wall says, do the hard shit. And we say that as a team because that works for a startup trying to, do crazy things. But it's also how we believe that why a game is powerful. It's as you do the hard shit that the information you learn sticks, that you are put yourself in a position to be able to be more effective. And again, we lean into competition, and that's a core tenet for us.
What's amazing about that learning opportunity, struggle. I feel like, and you as a Fundamism Podcast listener have heard me say this before, so forgive the overlap, but Sam, you remind me of a previous conversation that I've had, that whenever I think or get the opportunity to talk to somebody like yourself that has seen some level of success, however that is defined for you, there is always, nearly always, a common thread in that. And that is, you saw some form of struggle. It wasn't given to you. You learned the hard way, whether it was a significant roadblock, or you lost everything that you had, or you quit something that you love, or somebody near and dear to you was lost. Ultimately, this struggle always helps us get stronger as a result. And it develops brain patterns to ensure that we grow accordingly and hopefully avoid some of those mistakes and wind up in a better place as a result. For you, can you identify that pivotal moment or a moment in your life that helped kind of shift where you were to understand, man, I'm bound for greater things and I never want to get back to that place?
Yeah, I've been lucky to have great friends, great coaches, great mentors, family, but for me, coming out of high school, I committed to play football at the University of Alabama. It was a pretty cool opportunity. It wasn't the Alabama that's right now, but it was in Alabama that it was still Alabama, and had a death in the family that hit home pretty close for me. And it meant I had to stay local. So at 17 years old, I had a mother who was doing, she was a legal secretary because she grew up in an era where you send the boy to college, not the girl, even though she was better than most of the attorneys, could have been a better attorney than anybody she worked for. And I said,
we got to really dig deep on this attorney disdain, dude.
Yeah, I got some by the way, my wife's an attorney, but we're not going to, I love my wife. So I don't know what it is. Maybe, it's just, anyway, we'll move on. So I think that for me, growing up, I was forced to get to work right away. And my first job, I was a 100% commission job. It was a sales job. I said, I can do that. I'm a competitive person. And, I think that I was, and up until I started 1Huddle, every job I was in was a 100% commission sales role. And I think that just constantly being in an environment where I had to succeed, just was it worked for me. And that struggle for me is something that I think that really molded the way that I think about work, because what we do every day is about how the heck do we level people up, and so when they wake up every day and go someplace, they feel like they're connected, and they feel like they have a sense of purpose, and they feel like they're in the right place, and they feel like they're excited, and that's important to me. And again, I think the journey, from again, right out of high school, having to be put in that position has really molded the way I think about it.
So just curiosity on my part now, because I'm a pretty avid football fan. What position did you play?
So I was a linebacker, but I played behind a guy named John Beeson, who turned out to be a pretty good football player, if you know. Yeah. So I was a long snapper as well, which, by the way, maybe another rule out there is you got to have something up your sleeve. So I was a long snapper, and that was what I was committed for.
What do you think Coach would have said about your long hair? Do you think he would have told you to cut it?
Yeah. Oh, definitely would have told me to cut. He might have cut it himself. But there were different football coaches, but when we were coming up today.
You aren't lying. Matter of fact, we lost a good one so I'm from Kansas, obviously. I'm a diehard Kansas Jayhawks fan over everything. And the last real winning season that we had was 2008, when we had a coach by the name of Mark Mangino, who was really, he was an old school coach, and he was run out of town for being that. And so, to your point, leadership has changed throughout the years.
You got to adapt. It's like every generation complains about the one that comes next. And, I think what I've always tried to take from the coaches around me is, I think this hasn't changed. You have to be willing to challenge. Again, we'll come back to this word on struggle. So you got to be willing to wake up every day and see the world from the perspective of somebody else. And that's maybe when we think about the problem with most people that move into management roles who maybe weren't the right fit. Talk about empathy. Talk about being able to see from a different perspective, and then help, not tell somebody what to do. Maybe they need to be challenged. Maybe they just need to listen to talk. But having the time and the mental space to be able to do that is super important.
You know what I love about this concept of fun that we talk about regularly, and that you hit on earlier, is for me it's an acronym. As you know, you read the book, and again, I greatly appreciate that. In a very organic way, and not deliberately, we have really gone through your personal foundation and the foundation of 1Huddle, and how you got started, and what it came to be, and the intent behind it. And then you just naturally went into the U, which is understanding others' perspectives, and really being able to walk in their shoes to understand the value that they provide and what they've been through, so you can maximize them and their opportunities and the value that they provide others in identifying the real next steps for maximizing their growth. So I want to talk to you about how 1Huddle, before we wrap up, how 1Huddle helps organizations, and what specifically your process looks like. But before I do, one of the primary reasons why I've really been enamored with what you're doing is your social presence for 1Huddle is amazing. So are you the content creator for all of your IG and LinkedIn videos and all that stuff? I know you have a team out there, but man, you are a funny dude. Where did that come from, and who helps you with that?
It's definitely a byproduct of our team and our marketing team that work together on everything. And when you start up, for all the people out there that have, either you're thinking about starting something up or you already have something, that you got to be the biggest cheerleader early on, which means sometimes you got to get uncomfortable being more vocal and taking a position on things. Sometimes so many people start companies and they say, I'm going to act like I'm Apple today. As a tech company, I see so many startups like, what would Apple do? It's like, no, yo, you do have $500 in the bank. You can't act like Apple. So, I think for me, it was early on when I finally learned that I had jumped off a cliff on this thing and I'm going. I learned that, I have to be willing to start to find my voice and start talking. And then you start to get people around you that can help amplify it. And then you know what you do? You start to realize that you're not the candidate, like you're just the spokesperson for it. And you got to put a great comms team. For us, our marketing team is awesome. And I think about them as a comms team. They represent the brand. The brand is the candidate every day. Just to we use election analogies a lot. It's our responsibility to support, to give great talking points, to do our research. I just might be the one that's, going out there and being, talking publicly a little bit more than others are. But to the fun part, like at the end of the day, I get to go work every day and I get to talk to companies across so many different industries. I get one shot at this thing. I started a company, raised venture capital money. So like, it's not even my money right now. Like, so I get to play with it, and it, so for me, it's like, and we get to do it and then make an impact. So you talked about social impact, when I started this company to help salespeople. I learned that we can help everybody.
Yes.
And why not? Like, why not? Why not try? Like, why not attempt to do it? So that's been the most fun for me.
Well, first and foremost, I don't recognize the results of your election analogy. Get it? You get it? Oh, all right. Yeah. But listen, just to applaud you, recognizing the skill set that you have as an independent business owner, you are kind of the model of what I'd hope to accomplish in growth and time. Like, I don't care if anybody remembers me. I want folks to remember this brand as something that could help them through a trying time and be more deliberate in joy, fun, and fulfillment. And that's what you guys are doing. I mean, you guys are a brand. And from the logo to the social presence to the way that you talk and communicate your mission to your staff, I mean, you're living it and I admire that. So in closing, walk us through how 1Huddle works with its potential client or existing clients to enhance the learning experience and that competitive nature of a team.
Sure. So for companies that have information their employees need to know, it might be onboarding. It might be certain systems or procedures. It might be ongoing diversity and inclusion training or sensitive or serious training we talk about. For companies that have to get that information out of a manual, out of a module, out of their head and into the mind of their employees, we've built a platform with 1Huddle where the game is really just what the employees play. And again, we stay with the word player versus employee, even when we talk. But for us, you can take anything and in minutes use our game creation tool to turn it into a game and get it deployed to your workforce wherever they may be. And, it might sound simple given COVID, but, pre-COVID, 83% of our gameplay happened off the clock. I don't know about you, but I wasn't really like the kind to be doing job training at home on a Saturday night. But because companies can take that, the latest sales sheet on this product, turn it into a game, push it out to their sales force, and their sales force are incented to compete against each other to win the game because there's leaderboards and the whole thing. We'll see 100% engagement. We'll see employees get pretty competitive around something as simple as a system or a new process. And again, the outcome is managers can walk into their next meeting and know they can coach up from that position. They don't have to start and talk about just the X's and the O's. They can expand on it. And the employee is not just a little bit more knowledgeable, but maybe a little bit more confident when they take that information and talk to a customer.
For sure. Well, as we start to wrap up, let it be known that I haven't forgotten our initial conversation and me wanting to get some of this content into a gaming platform. So we need to talk more. If I myself or anybody listening wants to improve employee engagement, learn more how to drive a stronger culture, or they just want to know more about Sam Caucci and 1Huddle, where do we go?
Sure. You can head on over to 1huddle.co, number 1huddle.co. We have a 7-day trial up on the website. If you're a nonprofit or an association, we have a social impact program that we just launched during COVID to help you. So I don't want to hear anybody saying money is an issue to help your people. We have programs sort of for all types of companies to help them help their team.
Well, Sam, it was amazing having you. We greatly appreciate what you're doing and creating fun in the workplace and out in society today. To you, the Fundamism Podcast listener, we couldn't do this without you. We greatly appreciate your support. You consistently get us in and out of the top 100 on Apple iTunes. And listen, spread the word. Go out and have some fun today. Create some fun in the lives of others. And until we catch you on the flip side, be safe, smile often, and have fun. Deuces.